YouTube? It's Feel the Beard here, and I'm going to be talking to you about Carson Wentz versus Nick Foles. Now, before I go into any depth, I want to say I love Nick Foles. He won the Super Bowl. He got the Eagles our first Super Bowl in 52 years. But to be realistic, in my opinion, Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Nick Foles. And here's why. Carson Wentz, first year in the NFL, terrible. Rookie year didn't do that well. Had like 16 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Played that whole year, full 16-game season. 2017 goes around. He comes in with new wide receivers, because in 2016 he didn't have great receivers. I mean, his receivers he was throwing to was Jordan Matthews, Nelson Aguilar, in his bad year. I mean, every year was his bad, but 2017 it was actually pretty good. And then, I don't know the other receiver, but forget that. 2017, he came in the league, destroyed it. Every game he was playing in, over 25 points in each game. Only lost 2 games. Went 11-2. Rams game came around. Big game of the season. Both good teams. And Carson Wentz runs in, tears his ACL. Now, to me, Carson Wentz is a trooper. He came back into the game and threw a touchdown to tie the NFL record. Now, in 2018, he came back with the Colts. And through that game, he won his first game back. But not only was he coming back from a huge injury, but he had a new QB coach, and he was still kind of injured because his back was hurting. But the press never came out and said his back was injured, because Wentz was saying he wanted to play. Now, if he was injured, I think that was stupid for him to come in that early. But every game he lost, because I mean he didn't do that well when he came back. When Wentz came back in those 8 games, he didn't do that well. But every game we lost was only by a touchdown. It wasn't by 50 points. The only game that we lost that was a bad game was the first game against the Saints, and that's the game we lost 48-7. He had a terrible game. Then 2019 comes around, plays a full season. He's playing with Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson and Nelson Aguilar as his receivers for the first week. Then from there it goes downhill. He just had to keep adapting to what he was getting. And adapting to what he was getting also comes time. It doesn't just, all right, bro, we're just gonna, you're gonna throw to anybody. That's not how it fucking works. I'm sorry, but it takes time to develop with a receiver who's coming off from the practice squad. Now, Wentz brought the team to a 9-7 record in 2019, brought us to the playoffs with Greg Ward, Robert Davis, and Nelson Aguilar. Now, half the team was practice squad. And Wentz still threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. In 2018, he threw for 27 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 2017, 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. And then, as I said, 2016, he didn't have a good year. We're not going to talk about that year. Then, in the playoff game, Clowney comes into the game and says, all right, Wentz is on fire right now. We're going to take out their best player. And he saw an opportunity where Wentz dove, and yes, he shouldn't be diving like that, but in the video, if you're watching this and you saw what happened, it obviously fucking tells you his knee was on the ground, and even if his knee wasn't on the ground, his Clowney's helmet led into Wentz's helmet. That's intentional, to me. But obviously to the refs, it wasn't. Fuck NFL refs, they suck. I don't know why they suck, but they just favor any team. The Seahawks must have been like, all right, let's give freaking Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson a chance to go back to the Super Bowl. We saw that didn't happen. Now, Nick Foles. People who say Nick Foles played a full season, Nick Foles has never in his NFL career played a full season. He got drafted by the Eagles in 2012 and still playing. 2012 and still playing. And he only has 11,000 passing yards in his career. Carson Wentz in his 4 years has 14,000. He has 97 touchdowns and 35 interceptions. Foles has 71 touchdowns and 83 interceptions in his career. But the passing yard, you would think that Foles would have more passing yards since he's been in the league way longer. And I don't understand how this could be a debate. I love Foles. He got us a Super Bowl. But he went 2-1. He barely won in the 2 games that we won the game, like in 2017 when he came into the after the Rams game, because he came in for a short time, but we already had won. When he came and played the 2 games that we won, we only won by a touchdown, and then we lost in the last game against the Giants or Cowboys, and he went 2-1 in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, he had, if we're just counting, we're not counting the Super Bowl, he had 1 good playoff game. We're not counting the Super Bowl. 1 good playoff game. And that was the Vikings game where he threw for 3 touchdowns and 300 yards. In the divisional game, we won 15-10 because of our defense. Foles didn't throw a touchdown. No picks, no touchdowns, nothing. He didn't do nothing. He threw for 200 yards, and that's it. And I'm going to sit here and say Carson Wentz is better than Nick Foles, and we will see it this year in 2020 that Wentz will lead the Eagles to a playoff win. He would have led us to the playoff win, but Clowney had to be a dickhead and fucking take him out. I was at that game. It was heartbreaking to watch a player who worked his ass off. I mean, Carson Wentz worked his ass off to get to that playoff game, and they just do that to him. Not even 10 minutes into the game. I waited 4 years to see fucking Carson Wentz in a playoff game. 4 years. I met him in 2016. Nicest guy I ever met. And I waited 4 years to see him in a playoff game. Just to see that fucking happen. That almost made me not want to watch football again, because of how bad the officiating is. Now I see why Rams fans or Saints fans were mad. I had a whole bunch of stuff written down about this debate, but honestly, all I have to say is Wentz is better than Carson. Wentz is better than Nick Foles. And if you don't like my opinion, I don't give a shit. It's my opinion. The facts say that Wentz is better. Yes, Foles won us the Super Bowl, and dear God, I love him for that. But without an 11-2 record, and the team we had in 2017 would have never brought us. And we saw what Nick Foles can do on another team. He didn't win one game with the Jaguars. He got injured, was out, came back, and still didn't win a game. Like, the Jaguars had a way better receiver core than us 2019, and we still made it to the playoffs. Nick Foles is not a good starter quarterback. Back to what I was saying, Nick Foles is not a good starter quarterback. He's a good backup quarterback. A good backup quarterback for when a person gets injured, he comes in. But Nick Foles is also a type of guy who needs a good receiving core. Nick Foles clicked with our receivers, Torrey Smith, Alshon Jeffrey, and Nelson Aguilar. He was just clicking with them. But so was Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz was dropping 35 points, 50 points, 25 points, 30 points, 21 points. He was dropping points each and every single game with those same guys. And I'm sorry, Carson Wentz got injured, didn't have enough time to have an off season. He didn't have full-time off season. And the medical staff brought him in when they knew his back was injured. So, the fact that, and yes, he was still throwing to Torrey Smith and Alshon Jeffrey and Nelson Aguilar, but he was adapting back into the NFL. And in his QB role, he also just lost the guy who was his mentor. His QB coach left. We had a new QB coach that he didn't really get to spend any time with because he was injured in the off season. So I really didn't get that much time to play and talk to him. So the fact that this shit is even a debate is crazy. I love Nick Foles. He won us the Super Bowl. I have his book right up there, signed by Nick Foles. I met him too. But the fact is that Nick Foles is a backup quarterback, not a starter. I wish him the best in Chicago. I hope he has a good career in Chicago. I don't want him to be bouncing back and forth to teams. Like, he needs to stick with a team. And I hope Chicago is a right fit for him. Carson Wentz is a great fit for the Eagles. And for you guys saying Carson Wentz is trash, he fumbles too much, he overthrows too much, he does this too much, shut the fuck up and let the man play. He's gone through so much in 4 years of the NFL and still has amazing season. Year after year, amazing seasons after everything, overcame everything. And you guys want to sit here and say, oh, Carson Wentz is trash. Carson Wentz is fucking garbage. He overthrows too many people. He overthrew Miles Sanders 10 times. You don't think I see that too? It's adapting. Let the man adapt. He got paid the right money. And he was showing us what he could do. He showed us in 29. If people don't understand, Carson Wentz showed us what he could do with nothing. He brought us to the freaking wild card game with nothing. Nothing. No one knew who they were unless you were a fan, like a big fan like I was. I knew who Greg Ward was. I knew who Robert David was. Robert David was drafted that year by the Redskins. He tore every single ligament in his knee and still runs top speed. He could be a top receiver, but the Redskins didn't want to give him a chance, so he picked him up, signed him to the practice squad, and he got a chance. He finally, after a few games, after every receiver person kept falling, he finally got a chance to play. The last thing I'm going to say is my boy Carson Wentz is going to ball out in 2020. And I'm going to say this. Carson Wentz is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And I'm not lying. Because they said Deshaun Watson was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Yet, Carson Wentz had better stats than him. I don't understand. And in my fact, I think Deshaun Watson was throwing to Hopkins, Will Fuller, and Kenny Stills. And Carson Wentz was throwing to Greg Ward, Robert Davis, and Deontay Barnett. I don't see it. So, all you Nick Foles fans, I love you guys. Nick Foles won us a Super Bowl. I don't know how many times I have to say that. But this is now. Carson Wentz is our future. And that's the end of it. I said the facts. I said everything I could. And this is just my opinion. I don't give a shit what you guys have to say. I just thought you guys would want to hear what I had because I am a big Carson Wentz fan. I watched him in college, and I was happy for him to be on the Eagles. So, I hope you guys like this video. Share it to your friends. If you want. I'm a big Eagles fan, so if they're an Eagles fan or just another rival, don't want to see me rage sometimes, go ahead, share it to them, comment, like, subscribe. One thing I do want to say, I'm going to be having better quality soon. I'm just waiting for this quarantine stuff to be lifted so I can go get some equipment. And I'm still learning with this stuff, so bear with me. And I'm trying to still get more subscribers, and I'm trying to come up with ideas. Since there's no sports, I can't really do anything. These are just coming off my top of the head. So if you guys have anything you guys want me to talk about, just please put it in the comments, because I'm trying to hear from you guys. Because I don't have that many ideas. So yeah. Last thing, you know what I'm going to say? Go Birds, baby, let's go! Let's fucking go, Bears.
That's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed.